Good evening and welcome to another episode of Math with Mrs. D in room 403. Please make sure that you have found yourself a distraction-free zone with no interruptions. Have your pencil and note-taking packet or piece of paper ready, and make sure you bring this to school every day. Remember, you can pause and watch this more than once and complete the Q&A response link in Google Classroom and submit it when you are done. Today we are going to talk about some landmarks of data when we work with numbers. We're going to talk about the mean, the mode, the median, and the range. The mean is considered the average of the data set. The mode is considered the most common number in a series of numbers or data. And the median is our middle number. It separates the top half of the data set from the bottom half of the data set. And the range, which is the highest number minus the lowest number. It gives us that span of the span between the highest and the lowest two numbers. Okay, we're going to begin by talking about how we can find the mean, or one of the most common ways of saying mean is average. Correct. Okay, and we have here a set of numbers. We have 11 data points in this series of numbers. So in order to figure out the mean or the average of a set of numbers, the two steps are to add up all those numbers so you get the sum, and then divide that sum by the total number of numbers in that data set, which we already have concluded is 11. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those numbers and find the sum by adding 2 plus 4 plus 11 plus 10 plus 14 plus 11 plus 2 plus 1 plus 5 plus 11 plus 6, and we have determined that we had 11 numbers altogether, so we will divide by 11. Now notice that I put this fraction bar in here because it is the sum that has not been calculated yet, but the sum is up on top and the denominator, which is the 11, is below the fraction bar, and that will be that's our divisor, what we will divide the sum by. So in this case, we add up all of the separate data points and we get 77, and we take our divisor, which is the number of data points we have, and that's 11, and so 77 divided by 11 equals 7. So we can say that our average is 7. And we'll follow that up by saying that our mean is 7. So either way you can say it, that the average is 7 or the mean is 7. Okay, now when we calculate the mode, we are looking for the most common number, the frequently occurring number. So I have our original data set right here, and I have taken that data set and written it in order from smallest to largest, and I did that as an organizational piece because it's much easier to see the mode when you have things written in a sequence or in order. What we're looking for is the most common number, and it's pretty clear that in this set of data that the 11 is our mode. Okay, now we're going to find the median, or our middle number of our data set. And I've kept the data set in sequence from smallest to largest, and you need to do this so that you have the middle number falling in the middle of the sequenced numbers. And what we'd want to do is we want to find that middle number, and we could do that a couple different ways. One is we could simply take one from each end until we get to the middle. So a low and a high, a low and a high, a low and a high, and we're left with 6 as being our median. Another way we could look at that is we have 11 numbers, right? So we would take that 11 numbers and we would round that down. We'd kind of drop one out because of the because it's an odd number, and we'll think of it as 10. Well, what's half of 10? 5. Well, half of 10 is 5, so we would then have 5 on one side and 5 on the other half, and then we would have that one extra number put back in as our 11th number right there. So if we have an odd number, it's basically the even number lower than it, divided by 2, and we are 5 away from each end, and that other number falls in there. So I'd go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there I am in the middle. I will show you this more in class because it is a pretty slick way of doing it. It's a little harder to show when I just have this board. But either way, the middle number is the median. Okay, now I'm going to throw a little ringer in here because I've now added a smaller set of numbers. You can see I just took the first half of the numbers up there to make my point. But in this set, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. So we could say we have an odd set of numbers. We have an even set of numbers. We have 6 numbers. If you notice up top, we had 11, which is an odd set of numbers. So we're going to have one median that falls in the middle. But with an even set, it's going to look a little bit different, because if I take my method of going one off of each end, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute here. I have these 2 numbers, and I can't take them away, or I have nothing in the middle. So we have to really kind of think outside of the box and go, what is exactly the middle of 2 and 4 in this case? Well, exactly the middle of 2 and 4 is 3. So in this case, our median is 3. And it's pretty easy to know that 3 comes right in the middle of 2 and 4, but you could also add those 2 numbers together, the 2 plus the 4, and get 6, and then divide 6 in half, and that will also give you that median. So if you have an even set of data, then you're going to need to work with those 2 data points in the middle to find what the exact middle of those 2 data points is in order to get a median. So it's a little trickier, a little more complex. So now we're going to talk about the range. And the range is basically from the lowest number to the highest number. So all the way from 1 to 14. How far is 1 from 14? 1 from 14 is subtract the highest from the lowest, and you get 13. So the numbers range from 1 to 14. The range it spans 13, the distance of 13 if we're looking at the numbers, lowest and highest. So you have learned about the landmarks of mean, which is average, median, mode, and range today. And our little panda bear. Not sure panda bears have 2 black eyes around there. But there's my attempt at our little panda. Nonetheless, he says, "Great job. on another episode of Math with Mrs. D in room 403. See you tomorrow.